Alright, so I'm getting caught up on YouTube videos. It's been a while. I've stopped recording while driving, which makes, I know, both of my moms very happy, and my dad as well. They don't have to worry about me YouTube recording behind the wheel. I think probably part of the turnabout was crim law and knowingly, recklessly, negligently, all of our different, type of offenses you can fall under. And I'm totally blanking on the fourth one. Professor Podgore would not be happy. Knowingly, recklessly, negligently, missing one there. Anyways, so, tech news. What tech news? Apple at their event announced new MacBook Airs. They've got a 11-inch model, 11.6-inch model, and a 13.3-inch model. The 11-inch model runs a 1.4 gigahertz Core 2 Duo processor. I think it has an optional 1.66. And the 13-inch runs a 1.66 and 1.8 optional, I think. Anyways, moral of the story is they're still underpowered. With this model, they've moved to solid-state only drives, which is good. I mean, they've done some really interesting stuff. They've basically done like the chips they use instead of traditional solid-state hard drives for computers. Come in traditional form factors. 2.5 inch is the most popular. They also have some that are PCI Express, etc., etc. But what Apple found was that if you were to, rearrange the chips in sort of a less traditional fashion, you're able to save a lot of space. So basically what they've done is they've made, they've flattened it out, they've changed the form factor. They're not worried about enclosure because they're putting it right into their own units. And what they've been able to do is really optimize the space and the battery. They're starting to use more aggressive battery life tests. They call it the wireless web test. Basically 5 hours on the 11-inch and I think 7 on the 13. And MacRumors just ran some benchmarks. The computers are pretty slow. And I was talking, for what you pay for, if you've got a big iTunes or iPhoto library, it's almost out of the question as far as price versus performance. The SpeedMark scores, the Airs were significantly slower than like the lowest MacBook Pro. But that advantage really only increases when you factor in hard drive space and total purchase price. So the MacBook Airs are still going to be kind of that niche. It's that weird in between, and the 11-inch more so now because it's bigger than your average netbook, but it's smaller than most notebooks. The 11-inch starts at $999, which you can get a white MacBook for, I think. So I don't think the value's there for like college students. People who are most likely going to be impressed are businessmen and women who are able to, putting a premium on light. The 13-inch model comes in under 3 pounds. So it's a very light, very cool design they added. The old one had really weird, like a pop-out USB port, like it dropped down, but you couldn't fit regular USB plugs in there because of the angle, so you had to have like a little extender. They scratched that this time around. They put 2 USB ports fully exposed on opposite sides of the computer, which is nice. I hate that mine are on the same side, because if you have a USB cord and a USB flash drive, there's not enough space in between. So, good design there. And then a SD card slot, which is now standard on every Mac except for, I think, Mac Pro. So, cool beans there, some new hardware, fun stuff. They also released iLife 11, which I purchased and have been using. iLife 11. It's $49, so it's a pretty cheap investment. I have big issues with it. 5 applications: iMovie, iPhoto, GarageBand, and then iWeb and iDVD. Only 3 of those applications got upgraded: iMovie, iPhoto, and GarageBand. iDVD and iMovie and iWeb did not get updated. I use iWeb more than probably any of them. I use iWeb, iPhoto, and iMovie consistently. But I think it's been 18 months since iLife 09 came out. There was no reason for them to spend a year and a half working on this product and release it with applications that weren't even updated. They actually carry the same build numbers. I checked the build number between iWeb 09 and when I installed, when I upgrade, because on the installation it actually shows it as an upgrade, requiring more space on the hard drive, but the build numbers are the same. There are no new features, no new functionality, nothing, which seems ridiculous. I feel like they could have done more social networking integration, cool stuff they've done with iPhoto, like full screen editing. You can see your Facebook comments directly on like your pictures. Totally cool stuff in iPhoto. iMovie also, some cool enhancements for me. I think the best one is the clip volume adjustment. Say I want to adjust the volume for 10 seconds out of a 3-minute clip. I can do that now. I can go in, select that section, raise up that little bar, and adjust the volume. So that's pretty neat. And you can now export 1080p directly to YouTube. I mean, they did some pretty cool stuff. I don't really like the new look of iPhoto. It looks, the buttons are darker, more graphite. They're moving away from Aqua, which I have mixed feelings about. And buggy. iMovie 11's pretty buggy, especially when you import. You can now import multiple clips, which you couldn't do in iMovie 09. But like when selecting, it jumped and I had to restart. It's a mess. It's a work in progress for sure. But the fact that iWeb and iDVD I can kind of understand. You only really, you build stuff in iMovie and then send it to iDVD to burn. So I'm okay with iDVD, but iWeb, that's ridiculous. So that's why they're selling it for $49. Plus they did not introduce iWork 11. So iWork 09 has now been out for, 18 months. The new version of Office is coming out tomorrow, so in 32 minutes. And we don't have a new iWork. So I'm not sure if Apple has been diverting resources or what the deal there is. But pretty sloppy. They unveiled, they showed like a preview of OS X 10.7, also known as Lion. And that disappointed me too. They've got this new Mac App Store. It's basically going to be an app store for your Mac. There had been rumors about them doing a Mac App Store. And some of the rumors were actually that they were going to only do a Mac App Store. That was going to be the only way to install programs. That's not true. You can still download, install programs like you normally do, install Office via DVD. But you'll also be able to download apps from the Mac App Store. Cool things like on iOS, autosave, state, it resumes in the same state you put it to sleep or you closed it in, automatic saving of data, one-click upgrades for all apps. So if you've got 10 apps you downloaded from the Mac App Store, click Update All, downloads, installs all the updates. So pretty cool stuff there. They kind of reworked Expose to function with this. They're calling it Mission Control. It's kind of like the new WebOS in that it groups windows together. Now if you do Expose, it will show you all of your windows separately, so like it doesn't group them. This will group them. So like if I have 3 Safari windows open, they'll kind of be grouped together. And then, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And then they've done dashboard is now going to be a screen to the left of your home's, like your desktop. So like if you're in a multi-trackpad and you swipe left, it'll take you to dashboard, which I have mixed feelings about because like my setup at home, I have a keyboard and a mouse. I don't touch my trackpad. So I'm not sure how that'll work with people who have multiple monitors, and if you're not using a multi-touch trackpad, I'm not sure what the logistics there are. But I think the big thing for me was that they didn't really, I mean, that's a pretty cool step, Mac App Store, mission control, but they didn't highlight performance gains, changes to, you know, mail or calendar, address book, you know, no, like Leopard was a huge leap forward. Leopard, from Tiger to Leopard, was revolutionary. Take it from somebody who's been around since Panther. And then Snow Leopard was kind of performance. If you had an Intel Mac, great performance upgrades, fantasticness. I was expecting, even at a preview, for Lion to be a little bit more revolutionary. You know, they haven't done what I would deem a full new OS in 4 years. Snow Leopard was a bump. It was a nice bump, but simply optimizing code, adding a few features, improving Exchange support, that's not, you know, that's a service pack. And they agreed to. They only charged $29 for it. So I'm hoping Apple, my assumption is that Apple has a bunch more in the tank. They're not releasing it until summer of 2007. So my assumption is that what we probably saw was more of a modified build of Snow Leopard than Lion. The Mac App Store will be rolling out to Snow Leopard users in the next 90 days, and developers are submitting apps starting in November. So my guess is what we saw was probably more Snow Leopard than Lion at this point. But as far as, you know, tiding us over, as far, you know, keeping enthusiasm up, I mean, after the first 30 seconds, you're like, pretty cool. Nothing revolutionary. So, hope the boys have some new stuff in stock. But they're pushing out the next iPhone for Verizon, and then the iPhone 5 to the next. They're in different stages. The iPhone 4 for Verizon is apparently at like the design verification stage, which is, I think, the last one before manufacturing, whereas the iPhone 5 is currently at the engineering validation phase, so they're still working on the engineering side of that. That was at least what I read. But anyways, that's it for now.